start the show, Mark?
I'm about to.
Okay, and then do the reel, and then I won't talk until my voice.
Alright. I'm starting now.
Perhaps I have plenty of strangers and I'm no longer in need.
Or if you're tired of strangers, then obviously the strangers you have are not strange enough.
Are you stranger than the rest?
Hey baby, how was the movie?
Great.
Who was this strange individual?
I want to be alone with my friend.
Some things cannot be seen.
Not a game, Viv.
If it's fun and I'm playing, it's a game.
I like this.
You promise not to tell.
You look like a secret worth keeping.
Not all of my parts are female.
You need a man who respects your power enough to remove it. Who will make great demands of you without doubt of your strength or courage. Who will invite you to the edge and push you off to prove that you can fly. Who doesn't think that you are naive or innocent, but writhing with desire beneath the facade. Who has the courage to treat you like a woman.
All right, here we go. Let's go. We live, Mark?
Yeah, we're live.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, man. We're back from break. Happy Valentine's Day to all you people, you lovers out there, the ones that are alone. Happy Valentine's Day to you too. This is JD Glasscock. Of course, that's my co-host, Mark Potter. And then, of course, this is Lola.
Hi, Lola.
Lola, little cutie. Anyway, you guys, welcome to StormCrow Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. I believe this is episode 12. Who would have thunk that we would have been going on this long? We have an amazing episode. What you just saw was a great film by a female director and a female lead actress, Sierra. And a lot of people know her from my work as well. She's a brilliant actress. And I love this whole show is going to be about celebrating two beautiful ladies and women in film and creating films. So let's bring them in. Also next week we have a great show. And I forgot, this would be where someday we'll have sponsors. This would be where I would be talking about your product or talking about your business. If you like what we do and love what we do and you want to be interested in things like that, talk to Mark. But let's with no further ado, let's bring in our guest. Who would you like to bring in first, Mark?
Let's bring in Sierra.
All right, guys. Welcome. Sierra Collins is a brilliant actress who's done a lot of work for a long time, from modeling to acting, and just a brilliant mind, brilliant spirit. And she's also going to be in Blade and Blood, but today we're going to be talking about the film she just did, which is Misfits of the Profane. Let's bring in Sierra Collins. Hey, Sierra.
Hi. Now I can see people.
Yeah, there you go. Taking you out and putting you back in. All right, you guys, and let's immediately bring in Halle Capone, who directed this film, Misfits of the Profane. And we'll get going on more about that film and these two beautiful ladies. So bring in Halle Capone. Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Very, very, very beautiful. We just showed I'm sure you guys saw it. We showed the trailer, and we'll do that again during the break. I forgot to mention when we were before the show, usually what I do mention, which is basically the first half of the show, we're going to talk about your film, and then also anything recent you've done, and then anything in the near future you're going to do. and then we'll take a 5-minute break, and then the second half is kind of more like the old Bill Maher, politically incorrect. It'll be like basically round table. We'll just bring up stuff about life and then just kind of chit chat about it.
Nice.
After this show is done, though, it will be on the page permanently, and then Mark will add links into the description so that people that are interested in what you all are doing have ways of kind of connecting to you and showing your support. And then it'll be shareable or downloadable for you guys. So anyway, let's get to it. We'll start with Sierra. Tell me about your experience with this film, what the film meant to you, and your goals for the film.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a movie that I auditioned for late. I was actually on set of another movie and couldn't make the audition. And
you doing a million things at once. That's such a shocker, Sierra.
and Halle was gracious enough to actually let me send in a late audition tape, and I didn't want to half-ass it. So I told her I'd be back to LA, just let me do this and do this right, and not do it from San Francisco, which she did, which was awesome. And I think at that point in time, I wasn't really sure what the script was about, but she was impressed enough by my audition. She sent me the full script, and I read it, and I said, I have to do this. This is my role, and no one else is getting this role.
I mean, I know some of your history, so even in the trailer, I can see why you would be connected to it. So the thematic and stuff like that. So,
but I
did not see any candle burning, but
no candle burning.
But very good. Now, is this a short film or a feature film?
Feature film.
Feature film. Very cool. Very cool.
It rings in at an hour and 41 minutes. I think that was.
Is this your first film, or is this your first? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Did you do short films first, or did you go right into a feature film?
I was kind of all over the place. I started in LA as a writer, and then quickly realized that, you know, writers don't get paid what they think they get paid to make feature films. And then I did a lot of short films with friends and stuff like that for really low budget. And then I did my first feature as an AD, I think the winter of 2017, I want to say. So it was, that was a huge impetus in me even, you know, getting out there and wanting to try and make a feature film, because
I get you. I was in eight years in LA working as stand-in or whatever in the industry. That's what I did for a living there. So I hear you. And then I shot a bunch of my own short films during the.
Nice. Yeah, I watched Burning Cigarettes. That film's great. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was my first one, actually.
Nice. That's cool.
13 now, but that was my first one. But I was lucky, though. I spent like years just absorbing through being a stand-in and stuff like that, just absorbing gaffers and lighting and directing and framing and all that stuff before before I decided I wanted to shoot my first thing. So similarities there. I already see that. But anyway, let's get back to real quick. Sierra, so what was we got to the point where what you want to do, why you were so engrossed with the script and wanting to do the film, and then how was your experience doing the film?
Absolutely incredible. Very different than traditional filmmaking.
What do you mean? Because it's indie? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, we did everything. I did my own hair, my own makeup, my own wardrobe.
Yeah, and you only got one camera. You're not, you don't have like multiple cameras rolling. Although there's some major studio feature films that will do one camera depending on what they're shooting. But
we literally had a 2-man crew.
Yeah,
we had no crew. It was
on a feature. That's
a feature for 2 months.
That's
so yeah, it was a task. It was.
Yeah, and then the thing is always time constraints too.
And I
were on location.
We're in charge of our own, so it was months and months of preparation and then just shooting.
Yeah, pre-production. Yeah, well, what people call pre-production in Hollywood always baffles me, because like when they're still looking for money, they're saying they're in pre-production. I'm like going, pre-production is when you get the money and then you sit in your room or an office or whatever, and you literally start booking locations, hiring crew or cast. You still need to do costuming, getting everything together. That's pre-production. That's when you're like, basically, you're just getting everything in line to shoot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We're in pre-production.
But I'll hear people like with just a script and they say they're in pre-production. And I'm like, that's not
No.
preparation.
We were in preparation, like in rehearsals for at least like 4 months, I think, just doing this.
Wow, that's a long time. You mean rehearsing?
Yeah, we rehearsed twice a week for God, maybe you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was about 4 months or so. And we were
blocking, like, because we shot it in a way so that literally there was 2 takes to each shot. That was it.
Yeah, I saw that. You held back a lot of wides and you were doing
but even
no breaks. You were having more dialogue coming in and people blocking coming into the scene.
That was it.
Yeah, so
as far as acting went, we had 1 shot, 2 takes. That was it.
Yeah, although I don't know if we did much rehearsing when you were in my short, but I mean that's a short, so just kind of blew through it.
I don't remember, honestly. That was years ago.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, okay, so Halle, what was your experience doing your first feature and the things you thought you did great on and the other things you think maybe you learned a lot about?
God, I learned so much. I mean, this whole thing has just been nonstop learning. Even today, I mean, I was learning stuff.
Never stop that though.
It will never stop. Luckily technology is changing all the time. So, you really can keep up on new things all the time. But learning curve wise, I mean, it's my first feature film that I've directed by myself. I've AD'd other films and I've been a PA on nearly everything, every type of production, commercials, shorts, features, the whole thing.
You actually look familiar to me. So I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, I've been in Texas for about 3 years, but literally, like, I still get texts from Central.
Oh, wow.
I want to do a stand-in or like some body double or feature thing, and I'm like, oh my God, guys, I haven't been there like 3 years.
But yeah, I learned a lot. It was a learning process almost every day. I mean, when you have a 2-man crew, there's not a room for error to happen. Like if there's anything that goes wrong, you have to fix it. There's no one else to fix it for you.
And there's always going to be something that goes wrong.
Absolutely. I mean,
there always is. Every film I've ever shot.
Oh, everything
Nothing goes wrong.
Yeah. But this whole film, I mean, really the whole time, I mean, the fact that it was just the 4 of us the whole time and that we didn't strangle each other by the time this was all done.
I thought I saw a 3rd actor. So you had 3 actors, right? So you guys were all acting.
We had a couple extras. There was Kenneth Fisher was the guy in the beginning, and then Vivi Devereaux is her other cast member, and then Devin Spencer was actually our extra in.
Yeah, Vivi, that's a big boy, man.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's huge.
Big lad, big young lad, man.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's a great actor. And their chemistry throughout the whole thing was just, I mean, I'm really glad that we rehearsed as much as we possibly could, because we didn't really run into those type of problems while we were shooting necessarily, as far as.
Well, Sierra's pretty solid as far as.
She's great. She's my favorite
acting out like consistently strong.
She's my favorite actress by far. Like
Yeah, I mean, I only had to give her a note here and there every once in a while, and she would immediately go boom and slam it out.
Luckily, I mean, even though we rehearsed, I gave them a ton of freedom to just kind of mess with it and do it what they wanted to and stuff. And it worked out excellent.
That's the amazing thing about film, though, is that there's 1,000 roads to Damascus. There's literally what works for you works. And every single director has a different style and a different, unless you're talking TV or studio TV, which they're like kind of forced into a pigeonhole. But
yeah.
But every film director I've ever met completely shoots a film completely differently and with a different way and a different cadence and a different everything between how many takes they do or how they rehearse or anything really. I know there's some people that basically have to map out every instance of every moment before they ever get to set. I do that to some degree, but usually for me, a lot of that gets thrown out the window as soon as I'm like on location.
Well, you gotta have room for some freedom, if you can't be.
Unless you just do insane amounts of location scouting. Once you're in location, you realize, oh my God, wait, I can't shoot that one pan on one because there's going to be a wall right there for me. So then you figure it out. But I'm imagining that you just had an amazing set of learning you got through this entire experience. So, and it never stops. I don't care how long you've been doing so. I've been writing for almost 30 years. The day I feel I can't get better is the day I should stop writing.
Yeah, I agree. No, you should.
So,
I think it's there's so much to learn in this industry too. You know, I mean, I did my own sound on this film. You know, I've never done.
That's a tough one, man.
It was tough. You know, I mean, directing and doing sound, little precarious.
Did you at least have some body mics, or were you trying to do a boom mic?
We had 4 mics actually going. So we had 2 labs and then 2 boom mics in the room. And
well, the body ones have probably helped a lot because you're in a lot of wide.
Yeah.
That's at least in the trailer. So that would make a boom mic very, very difficult to actually use.
I had them turned up pretty much the whole way the whole time. And we were in a really large room with like crazy acoustics too. So
bouncing.
You don't think about that fully before you start shooting, but you know, it ended up working out. Sounds amazing.
And it also depends on your shots. If you're in tighter in the mic and you can get a boom in close, then you get less of that because it's not getting as much of the whole area.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you're going to stay in wides, then body mics, I'm sure helped a lot.
Oh yeah, they did.
Helped a lot. Yeah, very definitely. So Sierra, was it? I was laughing because Mark, you know me in film and sexuality and violence. I could, you know, as long as it's poignant to the story.
Right.
For it and done well, go for it. You know what I mean? But Mark was like, "Oh my God, it's a little risque. We might have to put a warning or whatever." And so I said, "Okay, well, I think I've seen this before, but just in case, send me the link again." So I had him send me the link, and I watched it. I'm like, Mark, I don't see one bare breast. I don't know.
There was no nudity. There was no nudity on my part.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't need to put no warning on nothing, man.
And that was done your way, the way you wanted to, having no female nudity involved, which was really nice, because it basically was done in such a way that it can still be this without that.
Right.
Well, the same thing with violence. You can do the same thing, not show the actual violence, but still have the impact depending on your music, your shots, your
sound,
actors and their facial expressions, and
the respect as far as a female goes, and on a female end, because that's also, you know, a big part of this story. So having the respect to not have to get naked and be able to have, you know, room to do all that without nudity was a way to keep that respect there in my mind. And I think it's the best decision we could have made as far as that goes. I thought it was great.
yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's an artistic decision. If it creates the power that you're looking for as a director, then that's what you should do. Me, I'm very visceral, so I have that very Tarantino type style. Show whatever you need to show, but the like I said, there's 1,000 styles. As long as it's powerful and poignant and artistic and creative and in your vision,
getting your point across.
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for everything. I don't think this film, that would have been the time and the place for. I think, you know, once you watch it to the end, you know, it would be something that you would see that if we would have done that, it basically would have devalued the film.
Completely.
So, it's got to be a Halle choice. She has a vision. Follow that vision, regardless of what anyone else says or does or likes or doesn't like.
Yeah, I think it was kind of both our that there was not going to be nudity in this, that it was going to be done without.
Yeah, no, it was both of our decision. I had the thought beforehand already, just that, you know, nudity, you know, the whole time and place thing, it really is true. And for this movie, it would have been just too much. Like, it's just, you know, for the content, for where she goes, you know, she purges this huge secret towards the end of the film that really makes you empathize with her. And I feel like, you know, if she would have had her boobs out, you wouldn't be listening to her at all. No. You know what I mean? Like, there would be no empathy, you know, with the situation. And I wanted people to feel for this character. I wanted people to really recognize her. You know, she's an actress. You know, Sierra's playing an actress, basically. And so, you know, with that,
Yeah, I mean, I can only get so much out of the trailer, so a lot of the stuff you're referencing is not in the trailer. So
it's basically, you know, it's the story of an actress who's going through a purge, you know, and she meets this guy who helps her along the way. But ultimately it's about her purge, you know, so having, I mean, she is in precarious, you know, kind of situations the whole time, as far as, you know, being in ropes, and, you know, it's not like
pushing the edge of her psyche.
Of that, as well as, you know, keeping the viewer kind of entwined in will she get naked? You know what I mean? Like, is this
yeah, like,
you know, like I'm
what you described as far more emotional items going on than I think the audience waiting for boobs.
well, like, you know, I feel like
I mean, that's certainly a subtext you can throw in there, but I'm sure
the whole movie is continuous, the whole thing. So it's just one long, there's no break, you know. So for really it's like a fever dream, you know, and I wanted people to kind of get hypnotized in a way, you know, and
like they're on peyote.
Not quite that crazy. But maybe like more like shrooms or something. But like it's literally, you know, the score with everything combined, you know, they're acting, the score, the imagery is really intense. And I think that any sort of nudity in film, you know, especially it being shot in black and white, you know, we shot on raw footage, so it was these incredibly, you know, huge data files that were just so rich. And
what did you shoot on?
I actually shot, it's funny, my friend says that I shoot on a vintage camera now because it's completely outdated, but I shot on a Mark II, and I hacked it so that I could put Magic Lantern software on there and make
that. There you go. I was waiting for something like that. That's where your size came in.
Yeah, so I think I'm one of the first features to do that in America. That's definitely been done in Thailand and many other places.
It's why I've never used Black Magic, because Black Magic, I love the look for noir. It works really, really beautifully with shadowing and noir, but the files are so effing humongous.
Yeah, they're huge.
You kind of move them anywhere, like moving them even to your editor. If you were using the internet to do so, you would like literally be there for days trying to like.
No, getting this converted into any sort of cinema package is literally taken like 24 hours at a time, just because it's down to like 150 gigs, you know, but it's a huge movie. So
see, I want to try something I've never tried before on Blade and Blood, which is I want an on-set editor.
Okay, yeah.
Basically, every night is taking home the footage.
We didn't have a DIT person, but we did that.
You cut it together as we went.
Yeah, we didn't have a DIT person per se, but it was basically us. And
oh, so you were doing that. You were taking it home every night, like working on it.
We just leave it at the location, and once the night was over, we shot until like midnight or so, kind of, you know, every night during the week, and then the footage would take a while to upload, so we'd make sure it was uploading, you know, till about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we'd go get a couple hours of sleep, and then we'd come back and do it all over again and start editing.
Very cool, man. A lot of that took a lot of intensity and passion, conviction,
a lot,
faith in yourselves. And
I think the only reason none of us wanted to kill each other at the end of it was because we all got along so well, because it was just cracking jokes the entire time about everything. Like,
I mean, you know me, Sierra. If people are passionate and intense and chasing something hungry, then I'm all for it, man. I'm all power.
I'll never forget that behind the scenes photo that you took of Viv laying that, like me laying on top of Viv, and Sam in the background making some face, like look how comfortable Viv and I were. We're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I want to sleep. And we're like laying down on the couch, like one on top of each other. And the guy who played the boyfriend, Sam, is like in the background, like all pissed off. It was like, this is perfect. We didn't even realize we're doing it. It was like,
yeah, it was kind of like a time warp, to be honest. I think for me, just because I got, you know, on average like 3 hours of sleep a night, if even that, I was just trying to survive. So I had to like shove food in my face and, you know, make sure I was still eating, because all I cared about was getting this movie done and, you know, and keeping it lighthearted. I think a lot of people, when they're directing a film or, you know, even a part of the above the line crew on any movie, I feel like they just get so, you know, emotionally bogged down that they forget why you know, why we're all here, and why we're all here is to have fun. You know, it doesn't need to be.
Well, I'm not a big believer in past like 10 hours, 9 hours a day. That's why I worked on television, and I'm all like, you're ruining, you're getting lesser product when you work these people like you do. You're getting from lesser product from the actors, lesser product from the crew, lesser product for everything. And I never quite understood it, even from a business standpoint, because the amount of overtime they're paying those people, and the what they get for overtime crew wise when they hit past 12,
a lot.
To me, would be way less expensive and better all the way around if you just added a week and a half, 2 weeks on the back end and shot below their regular hours. I never understood quite but then again, when I was in Hollywood, a lot of stuff didn't make accounting sense at all when they're like their decision making. I was like going,
yeah.
Yet they were saying they were doing these things to save money, and I'm like, you're losing money. I don't know where is this like some backwards accounting or what?
Probably. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know who has a tax shelter for something.
There's
I mean,
so many people involved in a big production, especially on a monetary end, that, you know, those decisions don't boil down to 1 or 2 people or even 3 people. It boils down to time. It boils down to location. It boils down to budget. It boils down to if someone's going to be willing to invest in something because it's a 5-week project versus an 8-week project, and how much, you know, they're in for. So there's a lot of factors that go into making those decisions. And when you're doing an independent project, it's great because you can be more in control of that and you can shoot less hours. But if you're on, you know, a big Hollywood project, you're at the mercy of whatever the decision may be. And
yeah, see, this is why I would rather stay in smaller studios that, like, it's kind of like what's his name, Kevin Smith, when he first started out. They had money behind them, but they ran them. They were not dealing with major studios; they were dealing with smaller independent studios. So they had a lot more control over what they were doing. You know, like Mallrats and
Clerks and
all of those films. He had control over pretty much everything, and they ran it like an indie film. So to me, as a filmmaker, I would rather do that kind of stuff, working smaller. Even Tarantino with the Weinstein, especially the way Weinstein started out, were smaller. They had a ton of money, but they were not big fish in the.
But they still did 12-hour days. You know, they still got in there and worked.
Yeah, but I mean, he still ran it like an indie film, I think.
And as an actor, I just want to work. Like, look, there were 2 or 3 nights that I got off the set of this film and went to another set that I was on for a overnight shoot, and I had no problem doing it. It was like 20.
Oh my gosh, Kiara, that's like crazy, man.
That is
and I was
crazy.
like, I don't care. I'm doing it because this is what I want to do. And yes, I could say no to the other role, but I want that movie too. So
How's your little type doing, by the way?
he's great, but this is not something I talk about. He stays off he's you know, he's awesome, but he stays away from social media and away from.
Good, yeah, but I mean, I know you, and I know you had him when I was dealing with him.
I prefer.
He's good though. Okay, we'll move on. That's good. Okay, so what are your guys' near future plans with this film? And then any aspirations you have going on. We'll start with Halle this time, and then we'll go to Sierra.
We're actually taking it to Cannes this year. I'm getting ready to submit it in a couple days, actually. I'm just waiting on a test out at a theater so I can make sure everything looks normal and, you know, the DCP package actually worked. Because again, we're doing that by ourselves. I'm not paying a post-production service for anything. It's just literally been learning as you go. But Cannes is what's happening next as far as this film goes. And then hopefully, you know, we'll get some distribution happening or, you know, some traction with that.
Very cool.
But yeah,
I would make a great film, and the rest will fill itself out, man.
I think so.
Yeah. No, it's definitely.
Yeah, I always say just worry about the product. And I've heard, I forget the name of it. It was some big producer that had done big films at a comic, and he was doing a speech at a comic like con or something like, or. And he basically said that he goes, all I ever get questions by beginning filmmakers is, how do I get distribution? How do I get whatever? And then as I talk to them, most of these guys haven't even shot their film yet. And that's the first question is, how do I get distribution? And his answer was exactly what I just said. He said, focus on a film, make a great film. The rest will.
No, it'll happen. It's not. Yeah, I mean, people don't often turn down already done movies. You know what I mean? So I think if I was,
No, believe me, look at Sharknado.
oh, I love Sharknado. Sharknado's great.
Come on.
That actually got turned down originally in the America, and then they went to like Asia with it. It blew up in it. Then Sci-Fi Channel bought it and brought it back. So
And now what are they on? Like 6? Like
yeah, and it's still really horrible writing and acting.
Oh, I love it. I love all
Matter.
those movies.
It got picked up.
It did, yeah. I mean, no, I'm not gonna. I mean, success for anybody is a beautiful thing, and I always support people aspiring and making what they're trying to do happen. That's
I have Sharknado pillows downstairs.
no. I think if more people in this industry supported other people's success, it would be a better thing instead of what you get a lot of is they look at everybody as competition.
Yep.
And trying to take their piece of pie, and it's I have never espoused to that. If you're confident and have faith in what you're doing and dreaming and creating, you should never feel competition from anybody. You should just support whatever someone else is doing. So I've never quite understood that. But so it's always beautiful to see anyone succeeding or finding fruition in what their aspirations are. It's always beautiful. Now, Sierra, back to you. You guys kind of. Usually my guests don't do a lot of interacting. And so I have to kind of, go from one to the other. They'll do a little bit, but you guys are.
I would have liked to have done this together, but.
Yeah, I hear you.
Bad weather in LA.
What is your aspiration for this film, and what is your aspiration on any upcoming project or near project that you got going?
Well, I read this film and I had to do it. And that was a big aspiration right there, but I wasn't walking away without it. And I'm not walking away without seeing it.
Yes, I know how willful you are, Sierra. I know. Strong-minded you are.
Something as far as con or awards. I'm very grateful for all of the support that we do have from some pretty major players that are, in our court cheering us on, wanting to see it, wanting to help, wanting to know what they can do, which is
very blessed. That's very beautiful.
Very, very blessed. And, con has always been a dream of mine. And to go there with this film that personally to me means more than anything I have ever worked on, and probably more than anything else I ever will work on. It's just
until I write your next role. Don't worry about it. Till I write the next script.
Sarah, that's very beautiful. I'm very happy for you. Do you have any other projects coming up besides this one?
Yeah, I'm working on Blade and Blood with you.
No, we don't need to talk about that. Anything else?
I did a movie called Real Talk with Preston Whitmore a few months ago that should be out on
the film, or it's like a talk show, or what is it?
Huh?
It's a film?
It's a film. It's a feature that Preston Whitmore directed and wrote, and I believe it's going to be on Netflix in the coming months. I'm not exactly sure on that. I also have a film that I did years ago called Dead End that is now on a distribution deal, and they're going to be doing a premiere party with Bravo because Ariana Madix is one of the stars of the movie, and so looking forward to that. That'll be interesting.
Very cool.
It'll be a real premiere party.
Well, it sounds like a lot of things are coming together for you, and that's beautiful.
Yeah. And then just I have some other projects in the works right now, but basically for the moment I am just living, relaxing a little bit, taking some time, vacationing.
And Halle, what about you? Any upcoming other projects that you're working on or focused on?
I've been writing scripts since I was 21, and I'm 29 now. So I have literally 20 scripts ready to go. It's just a matter of like, who wants to give me money for which one? You know what I mean? So
yeah, but at least you now have the filmmaking standpoint from a director standpoint and a writer standpoint, so that you know when you're writing, like, okay, this is going to cost this, is going to cost this as you're.
No, I have budgets for all of them.
Last week, that's where a lot of issues between screenwriters and filmmakers happen, because they're like, hey, dude, we got this budget and you wrote this in the script that like
you wrote a Marvel movie for $10,000. Like
yeah. So I mean, it's good, but it's a really good lesson to learn as from a directing and writing standpoint when you do both.
I'm a big fan of one location movies. I think that there's something genius to that. You know, if
Free Fire.
Huh?
Free Fire, that one that Scorsese produced like 4 years ago.
I saw that one. That one, Carnage, was actually a big inspiration for me for this film. Not a huge fan of Polanski, but you know, just as a person. But ultimately, his film Carnage was a huge inspiration for this.
Yeah, I mean, just because you don't like someone doesn't mean that they don't have talent. Yeah.
Oh no, that film is great. I mean, Jodie Foster and Kate Winslet were like stunning in that movie, and they pretty much kept it in one room the whole time. They kept trying to leave and then they'd come back, and you know, I haven't seen it. You should watch it. Oh, you should definitely watch it. It's a great film.
I love Free Fire though. That film,
I've seen that.
The never-ending gun battle that lasts hours in one warehouse.
It's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, it is. It's great writing, great acting, great. As soon as you see it, you know why Scorsese backed it.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I think that, you know, I mean, one locations are really my favorite. You know, I have different parameters of budget. You know, for this movie, it was, you know, we made it.
It's very difficult to do when you're in one location, because you're basically then relying on, you're putting a ton of weight on the actors.
Yeah, which is fun. You know, I mean, it's like I think that one location ideas for the, you know, probably 5 or 6 that I have, they ultimately, I want to shoot stuff for low budget. I don't believe in spending, you know, more than you need to on movies. I just think it's.
No, my big thing always has been respect your investors' money.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
your goal should be at the end of every film that every investor is going to want to give you money again, because you not only made a great product that made money for them, but you also did it on budget and showed respect to their money.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I completely agree. I think that respecting money is not something that happens too often in this industry.
It almost never happens, but yeah.
But I aim to change that game. You know, I think that.
But Tarantino, especially in the beginning of his career, why the Weinsteins were so behind him, because he always respected their money, and his big thing was, give me 20 million, I'll make it look like 100 million.
Yeah, absolutely. You know
what I mean? And he was real big on that. So
for this film, I mean, we had under a $50,000 budget, so it was like nothing. You know, I mean,
yeah, it is nothing. Yeah, I hear
in terms of what features typically cost, we had a micro budget. You know, and ultimately, I mean, thank God Sierra and Vivi, you know, eat like pretty simply, you know, and so like craft wasn't a huge thing, you know, and I got my location for pretty cheap. And but you know, on future films, it's really taught me a lot, just in terms of, you know, making sure that if you are doing a one location movie, to make sure that, you know, you plan everything out in advance. You know, like if you're doing one location, your shots have to be interesting all the time, you know, so that it doesn't get stagnant or doesn't get old, or you know, you're not like seeing the same aspects of people's faces. And
you have to be creative with your camera work and your.
No, absolutely, you got to be all over the place. And so that was really fun for this movie, is just because we got to be all over. I mean, God, one point we were in Sierra's face, like just completely, and
you're doing a Leo
it all. But
everything.
We like to call that a Leone.
The camera was like, Dave's like, don't move, you'll not.
Sergio Leone was big on that.
That's funny.
That's another one of my big inspirations, Sergio Leone, with the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all those kind of things.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great film.
Detail and framing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was a master of budget. He almost had no budget for most of those films, man.
Yeah.
You just said great actors, great writing, and then great
writing, great actor. I think that I mean, The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, I probably watched for the first time when I was 5 or 6. My family.
Yeah, I've watched it tons of times. Yeah.
Tons of times since then, but the first time I was like 5 years old or 6 years old or something. So, you know, that that song has been stuck in my head for years. And I think that when you
Yeah, the bridge scene is one of the best scenes in any film ever.
it's so good.
Talking to the dying commander or whatever.
Yeah, no, I actually used to gather cows with Clint Eastwood way up north. This was years ago. And so I got to talk with him about that movie a little bit, and just how completely it was really inspiring at the time. And I didn't know later that I'd be using some of those techniques that he actually gave me advice on as like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old girl. But
Yeah, I worked on 4 of his films, so believe me, he is the
he's amazing.
I mean, in LA, almost pretty much every film he did while I was in LA, I worked on. But
He's absolutely wonderful. Like,
and he's all about respect.
yes.
He's about respect from the top all the way to the bottom. He will get pissed if he hears like an AD talking disrespectful to the background. He will get. I have seen ADs on that on his films that I've seen on other shows that are not very nice people.
Yeah.
But his shows, they're like, "Thank you, please."
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and and when I was a kid, my dad wasn't around, so I had 2 posters basically like that. Like who I tried to emulate as a man, because I was surrounded by just women, real strong women, very strong opinion women.
Mm-hmm.
So one was Eastwood, poster of Eastwood from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with the step cigar and the hat, and then the other one was the Fonz leaning against a
Nice.
box.
That's awesome.
But so yeah, I feel you, man. Eastwood is a great guy. What are your some of your filmmaking? I'm assuming Eastwood is one of them. What are some of your other filmmaking inspirations?
Well, for this film, there's so many. I mean, I've been addicted to watching movies since I was a baby. Like we didn't have cable growing up where I was from, so I literally just had film, and we had like this collection of at least like 1,300 movies by the time I left home, and it was a lot. And really, the movie I think that I watched the most, and me and Sierra talk about this a lot, and we have the same favorite movie for the most part, but Sunset Boulevard is a huge inspiration into why I wanted to even make a movie, you know, because it's a complete encompassment of, you know, what it is that Hollywood's about, you know, and how lonely it could be, and how just torturous it is to be a writer, to be an actress, you know, to be any kind of artist in this industry. You know, it's not the easiest process when most people.
No, you have to complete fate. You're surrounded by haters and naysayers and
all the things.
And are all about like discouraging you from doing it, or
just ego. You know, people's ego gets into play and makes things complicated. But Sunset Boulevard
with competition, they see everybody's competition, so they want to get rid of the competition.
Yeah, and
but that say they're your friend, that will immediately like start trying to.
Yeah, there's always those people, but you know, I think like Sunset Boulevard was the biggest one growing up, just because it's just Billy Wilder shot that film.
I grew up in that age where there was no such thing as cable or anything. We had like 5 channels.
Mm-hmm.
Watched whatever was best, and usually what was best were films that were before you were born.
Mm-hmm. I had channel 2, 4, and 7 growing up.
Yeah,
so
we had 11 and 13 too.
I had Seinfeld and Friends and Nightly News. That was it.
Yeah, you watch The Raven with 1967, 68. It's Vincent Price, with Peter Lorre, and the last movie Bela Lugosi ever did.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that movie. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great film. I love it. Yeah, but there's a bunch of great old films, like all the Heston and Errol Flynn Bing Crosby, Bob Hope films, and
there's so many from that era. I
haven't Martin, Jerry Lewis.
I haven't even tapped into probably, you know, not like 50% of the classics I should be watching. I haven't watched yet, but you know, I've watched a lot of them. I mean, I grew up with Westerns, and I grew up on a ranch. So.
Oh, Don Ford. He did a lot of those.
The Bronson.
Charles Bronson, yeah.
John Wayne.
That was one of his best Westerns to me, was when he was in Leone's film, Once Upon a Time Out West.
Yeah, no, that's a great film.
Fonda and Bronson, and they had a bunch of actors.
Yeah, I can't remember who else was in that movie, but yeah,
there was a bunch of great actors. But it was also towards the end of Leone's life and career, when he was trying to actually make bigger films. They for some reason in his head, he didn't think he got enough respect in Hollywood, so he started trying to do still his style, but more studio films. Once Upon a Time Out West, and then Once Upon a Time in what is it? It was with I think a young De Niro, maybe. Once Upon a Time in America. Once Upon a Time in America. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
No, yeah, it was the one right after Once Upon a Time in the West. I think it was it might have been a young De Niro, but I forget. But so you know specific directors, filmmakers that really like get your thing, like me.
Billy Wilder's the one. I mean, he executed one of my favorite films so perfectly. You know, I mean, I can literally watch Sunset Boulevard like twice in one day. That's how much I love that movie. You know, and I don't think a lot of people can say that about even their favorite movie. But you know, I mean, there's the whole list of female.
I don't know. The Big Lebowski I might be able to watch twice in one day, man.
Great movie,
The Coen Brothers pretty much knocked it out of the park on that one, man. You know.
But you know, female filmmaker wise, you know, I mean, there's so many. You know, I think that God, I mean, I wouldn't want to name one and leave one out, so I'll just stick with Sunset Boulevard for right now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys, this has been a great conversation. We're going to take a little 5-minute break, let our guests go to the restroom or get a drink or anything like that. Let Mark go practice his lightsaber maneuvers. Of course, I get to walk Lola.
Aw, puppers.
I get to walk Lola and let her do her dealio outside. But we will be back in 5 minutes, you guys. This is StormCrow. Dreamers talking to dreamers. Keep dreaming. We'll see you in 5.
Yeah, I'm getting my coffee.
Not hearing me because this thing's not on.
I'm eating tortilla chips. Starving.
Oh, you're good.
Mark, play the reel.
All right.
And then mute, make it so we can talk, but we're not being overheard on the show.
No, you can.
You're muted out, Mark.
I'm still eating. Is that okay, or is that?
No, you're not allowed to eat on Earth.
But it'll
You're the one who always tells me.
Wait,
Skinny.
Sarah, did you just say I was #1? Is that what you said?
No, I said you're the one. I flipped you off, and I said you're the one who always tells me I'm too fucking skinny.
You are. You should eat.
I do
But-
eat.
but you
Skinny.
can't.
You just said I said that all the time. I said that once, goof.
Unfortunately, I've not been able to figure out how to cut off the Zoom audio for the.
It's fine. Just play the reel.
All right.
Perhaps I have plenty of strangers and I'm no longer in need.
Well, if you're tired of strangers, then obviously the strangers you have are not strange enough.
When I got to LA, though, I thought everyone loved me, man, because everyone kept saying you're #1. I was like, wow, thank you,
How was
God.
the movie?
Great.
Who was this strange individual?
I want to be alone with my friend.
Some things cannot be saved.
Not a game, Viv.
If it's fun and I'm playing, it's a game.
I like this.
You promise not to tell.
You look like a secret worth keeping.
Not all of my parts are female.
You need a man who respects your power enough to remove it. Will make great demands of you without doubt of your strength or courage. Will invite you to the edge and push you off to prove that you can fly. Who doesn't think that you are naive or innocent, but writhing with desire beneath the facade. Who has the courage to treat you like a woman.
And we're back.
Mark and Art,
We are back.
think you're ready? Okay, guys, so this is the first question I ask every guest when we come back after break. We'll start with Sierra. what is the best film you've seen in the last couple of years and why?
In the last couple of years,
Yeah.
can I just use my favorite answer and say Sunset Boulevard? 'Cause I still watch it
No,
every-
stop. We already went on Sunset
I
Boulevard.
still watch
What
it
is
every
a
other
film that
day.
you have
It's the
actually
best
seen
movie
in the last
ever.
2 years? Huh?
I said I still watch it every other day. It's the best movie ever. I would honestly say Dallas Buyers Club.
What is it?
I would say in the last few years, the best movie would have been Dallas Buyers Club. That or Wall Street. Those two were both incredible.
You mean Wolf on Wall Street?
Yeah, but I personally think Dallas Buyers Club is a better movie.
I still can't understand what you're saying. Dallas, I've never heard of the film. What is it?
Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh, Dallas Buyers Club. Okay, gotcha. I thought you were saying Dallas Fryer or something. I'm like,
Dallas Buyers Club.
it was a film about monks drinking beer.
What?
No, I'm kidding. I love you though, Sierra. But why did you? I never saw the films. Why did you think it was so great?
So I'm very passionate about healthcare and natural healthcare and healing in general, as well as HIV and AIDS. And it was, the story of not going to remember the guy's name right now, but it was his story of him getting these natural drugs into the US from Mexico and actually saving lives. And it was incredible. It was a movie to me that 20 years ago could not have gotten made because the pharmaceutical companies would not have stood for it. And
yeah, but with internet and independent films and all that stuff.
Well, to just be able to actually tell this story of, a real biopic that really.
No, I mean, I'm shocked at some of the movies they get made now, that like the one that was just on Cheney. I couldn't believe they made that into a film, and like literally like where they're just straight up showing that the guy was an a-hole. It's like
Bold move.
20 years ago, you're right. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I remember. I remember JFK. They were talking about blackballing Stone, and then that film wasn't going to get made, and all this stuff. And that was like 20 years ago, and it was only because it was Oliver Stone that it got even out. But what they do now is just shocking to me. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's beautiful when they tell real life stories like that need to be heard.
Yeah.
You should watch that movie. Matthew McConaughey is great in that movie.
Yeah, he's incredible.
I haven't seen it yet, so maybe I'll try to see if I can get an eyeball on it.
There's actually a video, if you are a natural health connoisseur, called "A Leaf of Faith" on Netflix. You're going to want to check it out. It's about a leaf of faith.
Like about marijuana?
No, it's about kratom.
Oh, okay, yes.
Phytogenea speciosa.
Yes. I've not seen that. I have seen a lot of research on kratom. I have a lot of friends who it did very wondrous things to, and they got completely off of all pain pills, and then the U.S. government made it illegal. And
it's actually still legal. There's actually some states have made it illegal.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they can't figure out a way of monopolizing it and making it so they're the only ones that can do it, then usually they don't want it happening.
Yeah.
Which is usually what happens with any kind of plant or
and that's why
anything that anybody could grow.
For supplements not to be able to be prescribed by any kind of naturopathic doctor or healer for a while as well, and to only have it be something that could be done by an MD. But yeah, so to me, Dallas Buyers Club was great because it told this story and it really showed just the devastation that the HIV drugs were doing to the population. I mean, they were killing people. The actual, Z-Packs were killing people, and he was saving people with these natural drugs. And it was really refreshing to see.
Very cool. Okay, Halle, what about you? What's the best film you've seen in the last couple of years?
I was thinking about it while you guys were talking. There's been a few actually, but I'm gonna have to be biased and say the black and white epidemic is my favorite. But Roma, I just watched that, and it was
I haven't heard either one of those films. Black and White Epidemic, is that what you said?
No. It's called Roma. It's by Alfonso Cuarón. he shot this film. Sierra wasn't like the hugest fan, but
I've just fallen asleep. I'm not.
it is one of those. You know what I mean? Like you have to be invested to really like.
Yeah, I'm personally, all films have a fan base. I'm not a big fan of like character studies, the ones that are just slow and chitty chit chat through an entire film. A lot of people like that is my mom's staple butter, man. Like she watches that crap, like eats it like butter. You know what I mean? So
I think that character studies are not always interesting. It really depends on the character, but he chose a character.
Yeah, and the writing and all that stuff.
Oh, and the writing. Well, the writing wasn't like, you know, so in the forefront necessarily. He really worked on cinematography, and he really just made you invest in the shots.
Oh wait, is this the one I think I read an article about where people were very conflicted about it?
It just came out. It's on.
Cinematography is amazing, but like people were saying that it was just like it seemed like a bunch of little vignettes. There wasn't a.
Yeah, probably. It's like a day.
There wasn't like an actual normal act 1, act 2, act 3. Like
it's like what Sierra was gonna say. It's like a day in the life, but like maybe over like a week's time or something, you know. But it's beautiful.
The cinematography is incredible.
Yeah, everyone said the cinematography was brilliant. The argument was more about
the writing.
A lot of people were bored. A lot of people were like saying that there was no story there. It was just like a bunch of little mini vignettes.
I think if you're a male and you watch that movie, even though it was directed by a male, I think he completely went after a female audience with that film, because it's just a
well, a lot of people said it was more of like the film was an excuse for this guy to just show what he can do cinematography wise.
That and
I haven't seen the film, so I can't.
Well, I personally think he just wanted to expose, you know, what it takes place in 1970 or something, 1972 or something like that. So it's, you know, it's not a modern take on a woman necessarily, but this one woman's story and being like a maid in Mexico in the 70s, you know, working for a rich family, and then just what she went through. It was a lot of little moments, you know, that were supposed to signify, you know, greater emotion, really. But I think as a woman, the movie hit home like in a lot of different ways. And I think that just the
I
opening
haven't
shot,
seen it. I have to watch it.
The opening shot, I was standing in front of the TV like this close to my face, and I was like, you know, I had my mouth hung open because I was just like, oh my God, what is going to happen? You know, and then all you see is someone sweeping something, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's it, you know. But it's beautiful, you know. In terms of movies that I've seen in the last couple of years, that one is definitely one. There's a couple, I feel like I want to name like 10, so I won't, but Roma sticks out to me a lot, just because it's, you know, it's an obvious art piece, you know what I mean? And not everybody likes those type of movies because they seem so pretentious, you know what I mean? But I appreciated how pretentious it was to himself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if everybody, when we've said this in a couple of shows, and people have said it many times, if everybody liked the same fucking movies, it would be a boring world.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank God.
So, yeah, I mean, everybody has, I mean, with my films, I have some diehard fans, people that insanely love what I do. Other people, I offend the living hell out of. So, you know what I mean? Like,
it just means you're working. It's one.
Win, because my only enemy is indifference.
Mm-hmm.
What is art without
whether you hate the crap out of my stuff or you love the crap out of my stuff, those are both to me wins. You know what I mean? You were moved, you were affected.
Totally. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, let's talk about something, and this is something that has been huge, and to a much lesser degree has been done in Hollywood for decades, whether it was a fake romance to push a film, like two actors who really aren't dating in real life, but all of a sudden there's like some story that pops out saying they're dating, and it was really released by whether it be a PR person or whatever to try to build. That's been going on in Hollywood for decades, or they just create a story to create a little hoopla for some album, whether it be a rapper, just create some fake story to boost his album sales or whatever it is. But this guy that's from, and we don't know what happened yet.
Do we really need to talk about this?
Oh my God! Please don't throw an indictment out.
I really, this is not something that I want to go down this rabbit hole. I want to continue to work in Hollywood. I don't care to give my.
Well, I wasn't going to take at it from that angle. I wasn't going to take at it from like a one side.
Okay, well, it's just it's a rabbit hole that, you know, what he did is terrible. Well,
I don't know if he did it yet because that's not been proven yet. You know what I mean? So I think if he did do that, then that's terrible. But I think that guy pissed off a lot of people too before that. So it could have definitely happened, and then they're trying to twist it. But I have no idea yet because it hasn't been played out yet. So I don't know whether he did.
The Chicago PD did a press conference this afternoon.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It doesn't look like there is much
any doubt.
Prove. But you know, he's got money to pay for attorneys, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll dance on to something else. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting concept, and I try to.
I think it's a conversation that doesn't need to happen. I think the media is giving it too much attention.
I didn't know about the thing today. I read something a couple of days ago, so I haven't really. It's not like something I was like, you know, hungrily chasing. I just thought it was interesting when the article I read 2 days ago was talking about how that might have been what happened. So I thought it was the whole part of that. It's almost like Milli Vanilli, man. You know, Milli Vanilli making millions of dollars. That never happened in life when you find out all of a sudden they're lip syncing their stuff and there's actually two other dudes doing all the singing, you know. But okay, so let's Mark, what's your question today? I know you have one.
Okay. So what is the most usual place that you've ever been to?
The most unusual? You go first, Sierra.
Unusual place that I've ever been to.
It could be anywhere around the world if you've traveled.
You're asking them what place they haven't been to that maybe they would love to go to? Is that what you're saying?
No, unusual place that we have been to. I've been to a lot of places. I'm trying to think of like what.
Yeah, he doesn't know you, Sierra. That could open up a can of worms, man.
No. I'm just trying to think of what's unusual because it's all pretty usual to me.
What is unusual?
I'm a burner, okay? I do Burning Man. So what's usual to me is not usual to the rest of the world.
Unusual. Here, I'll answer. I'll go first. The most unusual natural place that I've ever been to was Zion National Park. Because that place, it's you drive in the desert for hours, and then all of a sudden you're in this oasis of a place in the middle of the desert, and it's beautiful, and it looks like aliens just put it there for some weird reason or something.
And you're like, "Where's the water? Because I'm hot as crap."
And there's water there, but there is water there, and that's what's crazy. It's like a literal oasis in the middle of the desert, you know. And yeah, that place was crazy. It had very, very odd vibes when I went there. It was I felt like I was trouncing on some native ground, you know, like I wasn't supposed to be there or something, but it was beautiful. So that's my answer. Most unusual natural place.
I haven't been there, but I would love to go. And to me,
oh, you should go. It's beautiful.
Your Utah tip. I'm gonna say pretty close to the same thing here. Arches. We took a road trip to Colorado a few months ago, and we spent a considerable amount of time, an entire day in Arches, and I could have spent 2-3 days there easy.
That's in Colorado?
No, it's in Utah as well. Arches National Park, and the structures are insane. It's like aliens came and put these structures there. There's no explanation for it. It's like you're in a wormhole. It's like all of a sudden it's light out and then it's dark, and you're like, where did the sun go? Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Utah as well.
Yeah, me, it would be the Highlands. I would love to go there. I've never been there, but like all those cliffs and insane like landscaping, to me, that would be amazing to go to. But unusual place I have been is Oregon coast. If you've never been there, with the Rock Islands.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Rock Islands out there, and if tides out, you can kind of walk out to a couple of them. But if tides in, it's like literally these giant rock islands, like half mile off the shore, and it's.
Yeah, that place Oregon's beautiful. The coasting.
Yeah, I lived in Portland for a couple years, but I've done that drive several times from down the one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep going on that one, I think that's the one that also in Northern California goes through the giant redwoods.
Yep.
And you actually drive through that tree. That one.
Oh, so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, another thing. What are your what do you think? What type of films would you like to see Hollywood do more that maybe you think they don't do them enough?
Who?
Whether it doesn't matter whether it's a genre or just a stylistic thing.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
I think continuing to have, films with strong female leads. I think we've seen the historic damsel in distress played out time after time after time, and I think we're all sick of it.
I think Wonder Woman blew that out of the water, but yeah.
Yeah, but continuing on that, I mean, you still see it, most movies that get made have a strong male lead and a secondary female lead. And I think that reversing those roles and having stronger female lead and secondary male lead is, a step in the right direction, and just embracing where we're at right now with sexuality and fluidity and everything else, and embracing people of all different walks of life, disabilities.
Three-fourths of my shorts are female leads. So, and then even in Blade and Blood, the females in that film are just as powerful and just as. I think it's about the writing, is what you're talking about, really. And it could mean like how you're promoting the film and having the female be the thing promoted. I know Charlize Theron has done a few films there where she was the straight up lead in the film, and usually a strong ass woman in the film. But definitely, I think it's also the writing. What you're talking about is the writing of the script and portraying the woman as strong as opposed to needing rescue. Or I think you're seeing that even in films that have male leads, you're seeing more and more of the women be badasses in those films.
No, I was looking at like what a traditional role is. Like, I love Ray Donovan, but let's use that as an example. Traditionally, a guy is the hitman, or the cleaner, right? So those jobs so taking that and having it be like a female that does that instead, I mean, just showing, where we're at right now. We're not in a society that's females don't do what men do anymore.
Hey, you know what I see a lot that you wouldn't have seen 10 years ago is even in male-led films, they're fighting women. There's like women enemies and female like thugs way more than you would have seen like 20 years ago. It would have been the main hero guy fighting 20 dudes. Now all of a sudden it's the main hero guy, and like half of those dudes are like actually women kicking ass. So I mean,
I think it's moving. I think it's just moving a little slower than we all want it to. I think
it just takes like the Wonder Woman director. It just takes several of those kind of people with that vision, making it big and blowing up on those films, like anything else. I mean, that's how it works. If something makes a crap ton of money, they're going to do it again.
Yeah, of course.
If you haven't seen it, Alita: Battle Angel from Robert Rodriguez is actually about a lead female cyborg.
Yeah. And it was good, and some I think it ended not very good, but
well, it actually
no spoilers.
No spoilers. Spoilers, yeah, right.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to say what happened, but I think the ending.
But they did actually follow the actual anime for the first 2 volumes.
Oh, it's based on something. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the.
That's a Cameron-produced film, I believe.
Yeah, there was multiple bigwigs involved with it.
Yeah.
That's why they say produced by the guys of Avatar, and then Robert Rodriguez.
I think just to bank on what Sierra was saying is that there just needs to be a more dynamic range for females.
Yeah.
We're always into the same type of typecast role. You know, we're either quirky and awkward, or we're super sexualized, or, you know, like the one battle hero. I mean, there's Marvel, you know, women who are obviously kicking ass and, you know, taking names and stuff, but just to see a more of a range of what females can actually do as far as, like, you know,
true. Although, I mean, even in
you know?
male-dominated films, there's the same isotopes repeated over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? So it's not a, you know, Hollywood tends to go, okay, I got three different.
I'm gonna let my dog in before.
The hero, the old crotchety dude, or whatever it is. But you're saying, I think it needs to be expanded just in story and writing and story.
Well, and more female writers too. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of men are writing the female perspective, and they're not always.
It's good. It's good. I don't care if like hermaphrodite with 3 legs wrote it, man. I mean,
Exactly. You know, but even men, I mean, when they typically write female characters that are in any way supposed to be complex, you know, it seems like they're guessing, you know, a lot of the times, when they could just ask a female, you know, like, hey, does this actually happen? You know, because it's like they got like no feedback or something. Because I have a hard time identifying with females on screen, you know, because I don't see myself reflected very often at all. And, you know, that's one of the main reasons why I made Misfits, is so that I could make something that I actually want to watch, and that, you know, a female on screen that is reflective of even my own personality in a tinge format, I feel like is doing the world a service. You know, that females are very complex characters, just like men, you know, and we're not all emotional, you know, we're not all just one thing all the time. We're a conglomeration of multiple ideas and thoughts and feelings.
I agree with you. I mean, as a creative person, I don't know if I liked it as a kid, but I think I'm blessed that I was raised by only strong women.
You're absolutely blessed.
My door was shut a lot, which is your time, but
no, you're absolutely blessed.
That is all my major influences, through my grandmother, my mother, my sisters, all of that on me all the time. I think it's definitely given me a very unique creative.
You have insider information where most people don't. You know, I think that even if you were even slightly observant growing up, you know, you can understand women a little bit better than.
Yeah, my problem was I was highly observant growing up. So, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so, but no, I agree with you. This kind of trope is what you're kind of talking about, this male trope of guys that are not attuned to any kind of femininity or feminine energy, and all of a sudden they're writing major films with the female characters. And I'm sure probably a woman looking at a lot of those females are like this cardboard cutout kind of thing.
Yeah, and no one wants the cardboard cutout version. I want the real version. You know.
Yeah, but that's also sometimes just unskilled writers. See, high success in Hollywood does not mean someone's talented.
No.
Those are two completely different things. I won't name the show, but I stood in on a show that had huge money in it, huge producers in it, and literally the writing and the writers they hired were all from the same little writing camp.
Mm-hmm.
Only certain people related to certain people got invited to, and showrunners of the show owned part of.
Yeah. So. And
those writers were like, and they were spending millions per episode, and the writing was not good. So, you know, it just, because sometimes there's a lot of male characters that are leads in films that have no layers to them and aren't written well either. I mean, so I think it's just layering, whether you're writing a female character or a male. Human beings are vastly intricate, layered, complex. All of those things. There's always some kind of emotional driving force or something behind what everybody does. That's why I think a lot of people love that Punisher series, the new Netflix Punisher series.
Mm-hmm.
The way they did the writing, all the characters, and why a lot of people love the, you know, Ixnay, Iron Fist, but why they loved a lot of the Marvel Netflix shows was because almost all the characters are like heavily layered. They spent a large amount of time in all of them. Probably Jessica Jones is probably the best example of that.
Yeah.
She's got like such layers of psychology going on in her character.
Yeah.
And I think people want that when they're looking at any character. They want to see that there's, even if you're taking the villains.
I think that with how much things people are into now, you know, I mean, all the, you know, even is it Alita? Is that what the movie's called? With,
Battle Angel, yeah. Alita.
So, you know, I mean, all the people that are into anime, you know, I mean, that's a whole demographic that we're going to have to tap into. And then all the people that are into this and then that, you know, I mean, it's only going to get bigger because people are going to get more diverse and more, you know, in tune with what they want. And, you know, I just think that if we're making films, if you're not spending, you know, $50 million on a film, like every time, you can make more film. I just think that people don't understand like how cheap you can really make film nowadays. And that's my own goal, is just to like put excess out there, you know, almost like Corman, you know, or something like that, because Corman's a huge inspiration to me just personally, because he just didn't give.
He broke a lot of boundaries that led to what a lot of the artists today have been able to do.
I mean, he's directed over 200 films, you know, and that's...
Yeah, and he did all the horror films that would like really push the boundaries of what was porn and what was film. But he, like, because he hit those edges, it allowed future filmmakers to do more.
Sharknado doesn't exist because of, like, Sharknado literally exists because of Corman. Like, there's no way that that movie...
Yeah, and he started a lot of huge directors' careers.
Absolutely. And Jack Nicholson himself is started with Corman, and, you know, and I watched a whole documentary about him the other day, and Jack Nicholson was crying, talking about how...
Well, and Lucas and all those guys, a lot of them worked on Corman films to, like, get skill and get, like, hooked into the industry.
I just think he had passion, you know, and I think a lot of these people who want to be in film and want to, you know, do all this work, you have to love it. You have to absolutely love it, because if you don't, like, it'll kill you.
Yeah, but that's the difference between someone that is an artist that has a dream and passion and intensity and belief, and someone who just wants the accolades.
Yeah, or the money, you know, or
yeah, so that those guys, like, basically lie, cheat, step on whoever they need to get where they're trying to go. And this is the one thing I don't miss about LA. I don't miss being in LA, for that simple fact. Is I don't like that. There's a lot of beautiful people in LA and stuff like that, but there's also a lot of what I just referenced, people that just want to be famous or be whatever it is.
They're all over the place now, thanks to social media, not just LA.
Yeah, true.
No, it is, and it's everywhere, no matter where you go. I mean, you can hear there's that kind of energy. It's just so potent and focused and concentrated in LA when you're there and you're actually working in the industry. You're seeing it like a literal constant barrage of. You have great people there, great spirits there, but you also have a lot of that energy coming at you too. So it's. I think my time there was very needed. I needed to be there. I needed to experience LA, but it's a difficult place. Whether it's the right place for you, that's your choice. But it's a difficult place to be. You have to deal with a lot of challenges. You get a lot of bonuses and stuff like that too from being there, of access. But there's a lot of challenges to live there as well. Now, let's see here. What kind of music do you love and why? And we'll start with Sierra.
Too much, everything. I have an eclectic taste. I listen to everything from symphonic classical music to heavy metal, like black metal, death metal.
What have you recently been listening to a lot?
Everything. On a daily basis, it just depends on my mood. My music is complex as I am. It is whatever I am feeling, and it can vary from song.
Oh, Sarah, I love you. You're such a...
No,
You're like, in a very good way, such a twisted little cookie, man.
I never said I wasn't. I love how easy it is now with Spotify and all of these streaming services to just be able to switch it, and Sirius XM as well, because I have that in my car, and to just be able to go from, you know, you got a choice of 300 radio stations, so can have whatever.
I was at a bar the other day, and they had a beer called Love Street, and someone said, "Hey, you should order Love Street. It's great beer." And I said, "No, that's a Doors song." lightning was going to strike because I had to step away because the girl literally looked at me and said, "Who's the door?"
No.
And I was like,
No,
"Hold on,
no, no,
hold on,
no,
get away
no.
from you because there's like lightning about to like blow up right here, man."
Can't
Like,
be friends with that person.
No.
You don't know who the doors are. Come on.
I was just like,
Bobby
wow.
Krieger at NAMM this year, which was pretty cool. I've seen him play before, but it was always great. It's always great to see him play.
All right, so Halle, what kind of music do you love? Are you going to do the same thing and tell me you love every single thing that ever existed?
I won't do the same exact thing. I grew up with a lot of country because I grew up on a ranch in the middle of nowhere, in Northern California. So now I kind of have a strong distaste for like 90s country, you know, and like all just poppy country, I guess. But symphonies, I try and go every once in a while to the ball and watch myself a good symphony. But I'm really into rap. I'm from NorCal, so I'm from the Bay Area, and they're very, very into like long form rapping. So yeah, I'm into that. I love my friends are really into metal. I know Sierra's super into metal, and we'll agree on like Iron Maiden and, you know, AC/DC and stuff like that. But
that would be the easy answer to say. But
yeah, the only country song I really, or country artist I ever really got into, but it was also because he made TV movies that I loved as a kid, and that was "Gotta Know When to Hold 'Em, Know When to Fold 'Em, Know
Kenny
When,
Rogers.
know when to run." Got it, Kenny Rogers, but that's because he was making TV movies called The Gambler that like I would think I was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that, and I love the movie. But that was about the only country singer
yeah, I like old country. I mean, if we're talking about like Chris Christopherson or, you know,
Loretta Lynn.
I mean, there's
I mean, the only reason I know Loretta Lynn is that movie with Sissy Spacek.
yeah, that's a good movie.
Miner's daughter.
Yeah, I mean that was, and the same thing. That's the only way I know who Neil Diamond was, because jazz singer.
Nice.
No Diamond.
Great film. It was such a great film that I was like, oh my god, Neil Diamond is so awesome.
Yeah,
My taste is so eclectic. Look, in the last month alone, I've seen Elton John, Kiss. I've seen Bob Seger this weekend. Who else have I seen? There's so many.
Yeah, these new kids have got to get on it, man, because you know, like the
I don't
top
want them to die. That's my fear.
are like
Don't
all
die.
people that are like 60 years old, man. Like literally, man. Like
all the shows I want to see, everyone's above 60. Let's put it.
I know. I'm just saying, it's like these new artists. They're a little too homogenized by the labels nowadays and put together.
Oh, country tip. Chris Stapleton puts on a hell of a show and is an incredible.
Very cool. I just laugh when I'm seeing like the top 20 show concert tours are like all like from like the guys from the 60s and 70s, man. I'm like, holy crap, you young ones need to get going because those guys were the top tours
Who
back.
wants to see any of the musicians out there right now? Really? You want to go pay? Look, I'll pay $500 for a concert ticket to go see Bob Seger, but I won't do that to go see Travis Scott.
I'm just saying, Bob Seger, when he came out, was just as big.
That's the only one I can think of right now. That's because he won Super Bowl. I got zero interest in seeing him, but I'll pay $500 to go see Bob Seger and have.
Well, I wouldn't pay $500 period ever, man. I'll wait until I'm a known filmmaker so I can just get an invite into like the.
I wouldn't even pay $500 to go see a symphony at the ball. Like, I don't care what seat you're giving. I'm so cheap. No, there's no way. Like,
I
I know
wouldn't
when it comes to concerts and music,
for a
we
ticket,
spend
man.
money.
I would say hands down favorite singer right now for me, and there's no way for me to see him live, which is super upsetting. But Curtis Mayfield, and I know I tortured Sierra and Vivi on my set with Curtis like the whole time, but he gets down and he is so funky, and I love funk music, so I feel
my
like
favorite music is probably blues, and then
blues is good.
I still have never been in New Orleans, and I would love to go there just because of the amount of amazing blues I hear it has.
This is Zydeco music too.
Yeah,
got-
Chicago as well.
They got that
And that would be the only. Well, Louisiana would be multi-purpose because I love Cajun food. So Cajun food, and then seeing blues, it would be.
You got to get down there for the crawfish festival. That's where it's really.
Yeah, I don't eat that though. I like jambalaya, man. I don't eat bugs.
There's not bugs.
It's daddies.
They're just little crawdads. They're
Well,
fine.
No, it's okay. I'll stick to the jambalaya and stuff like that.
They're river bugs. Don't worry about them. They're fine.
Eat 'em.
They look like cockroaches of the ocean, man.
Yeah, they're great. They taste amazing.
Yeah. Okay, you guys, it's been amazing talking to you. This is the first show I think we've like gone overtime, so that's
Nice.
because that's how interesting it is to talk to you ladies. Hey, big love and big dreams out there, you guys, to people, to more and more and more women in film, women in leadership positions, films about women, women in lead roles.
Yeah.
That's because to me,
If this was church, I'd be saying amen.
every great man I've known, and then this is nothing against LGBT, but every great man I've known usually has an even stronger woman right next to him. So I
Strong people.
need as a person that I've always been when I'm with a good woman personally, I am 100 times more strength and spirit in all that I do. So but whether a woman alone or a woman with another woman or a woman with another man or whatever it is, women are full, strong spirits, at the very least equal, if not stronger than males. So they need the opportunities, they deserve the opportunities, give them the opportunities. And
Thank you for giving us the opportunity too.
Thank you for
Huh?
I said thank you for giving us the opportunity too. It's really fun to talk
Oh,
to
you know, that's what this whole show is about. This whole show is about giving artists spotlights, and no matter where I go in my own career, I'm going to be doing this permanently. So trying to do this show. I might get eventually like a nice, cool, fake little screen behind me or something like that. So, that's about, you know, but even when we shoot Blade and Blood, I'm going to make sure every Thursday night we have a slot so we can
There'll be
do this.
whole cast and crew.
Yeah, and then we'll interview people in the cast and crew. Yeah, because that'll be interesting to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys, it's been amazing. Once the show is done, and then give Mark a day or two, he'll add all the links and everything in the description. It's as soon as it's done, it's downloadable, so you can easily downloadable and use it for whatever you want to use it for.
Cool.
But I want to thank you both. You're both amazing spirits, beautiful spirits, beautiful women. And I wish all the best, but I have a feeling that you guys will aspire and accomplish whatever you set your eyes upon. So
Thank you.
Thank
got
you.
that hunger and passion that'll see it true. But anyway, you guys, thanks everybody for watching, or the people that will watch it in a future time, or the people that started watching it and went somewhere else, or the people that are watching it right now, but then now all of a sudden they hear that they're ready. Whatever it is, I thank you. I give love to you. You are watching StormCrow, dreamers talking to dreamers. Keep dreaming. Goodbye from Mark. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from Lola.
Bye.
And blessings, and keep dreaming your dreams.
Okay, what do we do now?